An exclusive to speak with Miss Lacey Gatewood.
Hi guys.
She is the okay. I want to get it right. So you won a competition that Apple put on for a civic app.
Correct.
And so how many other contestants were there? Do you know?
So there are approximately about 12 or 13 of us.
Okay, and you all presented in your app to some Apple special people, the gurus, and you won.
Correct.
And so in winning, that means what?
So that means that I received a free MacBook Pro.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Right, free Apple products. I also received a free iPad Pro.
Oh my goodness, what you want to do with all this stuff?
I know, right? So my brother already called, like, what's going on with your old MacBook Air? So he's already claimed that. So I also win a free premium membership to Blue 1647. And I received marketing services from Apple to back the app.
Oh wow, and we're going to get into this app and what that is that you designed and founded and presented to them,
yes,
that they are willing to back you out of all the other individuals that were there.
I know, right? I'm so excited. I'm so stoked.
So excited for you. We're going to do that. But right now what I would like to do is just give a little of the news that professionals are talking about. More than half of Americans didn't get a raise in the past year, according to a survey by financial services company Bankrate. Those with higher levels of education and salaries, which is more than $75,000, were more likely to see an increase, while older workers were some of the least likely, they say. 64% of workers over the age of 53 didn't receive a raise compared to 47% of the younger workers. And they're saying that the annual wage growth continues at a modest 2.5% despite a strong economy. I don't understand that. Do you?
No.
It's like, so is the age is determining whether you're getting a raise, or is it the technology possibly?
So
contribution.
I think it's the technology contribution. We have a lot of millennials entering the workforce these days and really trying to find out work-life balance and how to compensate these workers for the work that they're doing.
Right, and so they're probably demanding them, and I think that a lot of times once you're in the job and you're been there for a few years, you tend to not want to, what they say, rock the boat, right? The millennials are like, they push the boat over, they jump off, they do everything and say, if you're not giving it to me, then I'm walking.
Right, I'll find someone who will.
Right, exactly. I think that is the thing. So now, but we would like the fact that the market is growing, then you have an opportunity to either, one, send these individuals to more training and education, and in order to, those individuals should take it upon themselves to get some more understanding and knowledge of what is going on, and specifically at your workplace, because everybody's job is different.
Right, and ask for it. Ask for the training and development that you need to be successful in the role.
Right, it's a benefit. You know, training benefits both parties, I think.
Exactly.
All right, so now Meredith Corporation is pursuing a takeover of Time Inc., even though we love the Time organization, as part of a riveted bid backed by a $500 million equity investment by billionaire brothers Charles and David Koch, according to sources. The most recent discussions between Time and potential buyers, including Meredith, the publisher of Better Homes and Gardens, ended earlier this year when Time said it didn't want to sell itself. It's difficult time for magazine publishers, as we can imagine, right? As everybody has gone, it's too much to read a magazine online, I think sometimes. We like these snippets, right? Just
exactly.
You know, I've been doing my news from the snippet of, you know, these little sentences, and I can get the entire thing. And if I want to dwell into more, I click a link and I can get more information, or, you know, spend some time reading some more. But Time has seen annual revenue decline since 2014, which need to find a new way to survive in this digital age. On my news yesterday, I talked about how Lord & Taylor is now going to have a luxury line on Walmart.com.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because they too, old buildings looking for people to walk in the door, and everybody is shopping online for things.
Exactly. Digital media content is taking over.
It is taking over. I feel like that movie, there's a movie out there when, you know, everybody is like drones according to the, you know, to the TV, because, you know, this is all that we have and know. But I know that the human touch and the personal touch is also very, very important. Now, today's also in news, Elon Musk will unveil an electric semi-trailer truck equipped with self-driving technology. So here it is, we're talking about technology, and now a semi-truck will have self-driving technology as a part of it. The new product line would give Tesla the chance to enter the booming $676 billion trucking industry in as soon as 2 years, but could threaten as many as 3.5 million truckers. So, there's always the up and then there's the down, right? So 3.5 million truckers could lose their job with a self-driving technology that comes in the form of an electronic semi-trailer.
Right.
Yeah, interesting news. So, idea of the day before we take a quick break. To be an effective leader, it's important to first focus on challenging your own mindset before trying to change your teams. So what they're saying is immerse yourself in another environment by being a shadow to someone you admire. And the goal is to look for surprises, those moments when you can imagine how you might behave if the decision or interaction was occurring in your business, but the leader choose to do something else. Ask why they chose the path they did. I think, that show, Undercover Boss, that really, falls into that category, because bosses, they climb the ladder and then they forget.
Right.
What is happening. Some walk into it, legacy and parents, and then they don't ever get to work and they don't remember what it takes, and they're always about the bottom line, and never adhere to that. So I know you're going to be a future leader and a big boss one day of a Fortune 500 company, and I'm sure you will take heed to this very thought right here, that you must listen to the employees.
Yeah, I definitely think being a leader comes with the ability to get out of your own personal biases and really jump into critically thinking about what's most important and what's best productive for the employee. And oftentimes leaders or managers can't do that, but leaders can.
This is true. Thank you. We're going to take a quick break right now. We're coming back with Lacey Gatewood, who won an opportunity to have Apple back her new app. So we're going to find out what her history led her to this app, and then what this app is all about, and when we can expect to see it. But I just want you to remember, you heard about it right here first at Urban Broadcast Media's Empower Hour. I'm Bertina Power. Don't forget to download the UBM app at your favorite store. Bye. We'll be right back. Good job. I hate getting rushed and then I can't get my thoughts together. Hey everybody, let's say hi to the people that's on. Hey Tamiko.
Hey Facebook.
Hey Rachel and Shamika and Sandra and Haywood and Billy. Yes, my sister.
Guys.
Yes. Hey, how are you? And up here we have Michelle. Hey Michelle and Ken.
Hey guys.
I hope we're not looking crooked up there because my screen is not rotating the proper way. So. Okay, well that is great. I did not get stuff, so the thing is always technology on here. Here we go. So now we're gonna go do a little bit about your personal background, and then this is where we can bring in, son and the issue and what you do, as a coach and what have you. How did you get there? Are you from Chicago? Oh,
Born and raised outside.
So where did you go to high school?
So I went to Bogan Computer Technical High School, right? So that would also be part of my foundation in the technical world. So.
Now, and that's different than the Bogan High School that's on 79th?
Yep, it was Bogan Computer Technical High School. That's why I went there instead of Kenwood.
Gotcha.
Like, I lived in Chatham, but took the bus all the way down 79th Street to go to Bogan Computer Technical.
Got you. Yeah, so see, we are, Chicago, we are the fans of knowing where your high school is.
I know.
They're completely tells, I don't know what it does, but it tells everybody all about something about you.
Right.
Who your friends are, who they might know, everything like that, based on high school. So, you're doing good. You feel good?
Yeah.
Okay, breathing. Yes, I know. So it's hot in here. Y'all know it's always hot in here. I'm always not complaining, just mentioning it. It's hot. So, hey, Adrian. Hey, Shamika. Hey, Alicia. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Y'all been watching. Who else is up here? Hey, Michelle. Yes, that's what's up. So yesterday we had a chef in here, and he made the chicken salad using the turkey that you might have had left over from, you know, from Thanksgiving. Yes, okay. And he made it healthy by switching out, what was it, mayonnaise with Greek yogurt. Okay. Like plain Greek yogurt, and he was saying that, you know, and it was just smelling so good in here yesterday. And so I'm so sorry you all can't smell on Facebook. And we also have YouTube and UBM's Facebook page going. These are my 2 pages here. I'm gonna eventually get us down to one place. That I'm not gonna be able to do this, y'all. I'm not gonna be able to keep up with 2 screens.
It's a pretty awesome setup.
Well, thank you. Yes, I love it. I love it. You know, I didn't know what my thought. Everybody was like, Bertina, what's your show gonna be about? What's the basis gonna be? And I said, you know, I don't really know. It's just a variety show, but it's come to be one that I feel like it's whatever I can do to promote and show and share and give for those who, you know, have and highlight. So Wednesdays we do doing good in the hood. So people who are doing whatever they're doing, just grassroots work or this and that chef, him and some of his friends, they go down to Lower Wacker and they cook fresh, hot food right there and give it to the individual, the homeless once a month. And they just doing it. You know, nobody goes down there and watches them or camera following them.
For the congratulations,
no. And so I just want,
human, right?
Yeah, that's right. And so I just want to give them the, you know, doing good in the hood, you know, my little wand. Doing good in the hood, you just keep going. I appreciate you. I just want you to know I thank you for everybody who, you know, you continue to do that for us. So now it's one of my things is SEQ. It's SEEQ. And then I saw the other one that said SEEQ, and I was like, I somehow think the CU is the EE, right? That's better. So, how do you say it?
So it's CQ.
Right, so it said CQ. Right, but the SE, I couldn't hear that. I was like, SEC.
Yeah, so that's why I went back and sent the updated document, so we were on the same page.
All right. I think we are coming. All right, welcome back. You are listening to Empower Hour with Bertina on Urban Broadcast Media. Don't forget to follow and like me at Bertina Power. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. You know, we were just talking about how technology is everywhere, and if you're really not there, then you know, who knows about you? You know, maybe some people get the newspaper and see what's going on, but by the time they get to it,
it's already outdated, right?
Yeah, the news is old. And so I have in the studio with me Lacey Gatewood, and she is the vice president. You have a job during the day, right?
Right, I have a real 9 to 5, guys.
She has a job during the day as the vice president of Family and Community Services at Illinois Action for Children. Tell us a little bit about that role.
So that role really focuses on families as well as the community and figuring out what we can do and offer from an early learning perspective. So we're all about ensuring that all 3 to 4-year-olds are enrolled in some type of preschool for all or Head Start program. We really think about setting the basis at that level and then transitioning them to elementary school to be able to ensure that they are getting the services that they need to be successful in their education.
And that early is better. That's what I was talking to somebody a couple of days ago about. You know, they got to them in high school, but I said if you can get to them, you know, much earlier, the better. And so that is what the organization you're currently the vice president of that department focuses on.
Yes.
All right. So now let's tell us a little bit about you. You said you are born and raised in Chicago.
Yes, I am. South Side, guys. Chatham.
Yes. All right. Welcome, you know, to Urban Broadcast Media. Now, if you like me, I've been living in Chicago off and on my entire life, and I don't even think I knew this was a radio station right here on 41st and King Drive.
No, this is news to me, so yes.
Yeah, so it's news to me, and I'm excited to be a part of it and also bring exposure to this particular radio station because here every day is Black History Month, and so I was so excited to hear from Miss Rachel Turner, your cousin, who told me about you winning. Yes, hey Ray, told me about you winning the award just Tuesday.
Right.
So this was just Tuesday that you were competing with others to get Apple to back you for an idea of an app that you had.
Yes.
Now, before we talk about more about the app, which is called Seek You, and I put that on the Facebook page. So it's SEEQ, all caps,
Yes.
YOU,
Yes.
2 words, Seek You. What led us to that position in doing that? Now, you're born and raised in Chicago. Where did you go to college? Did you go to college here or
So
abroad?
I attended National Louis University.
Okay.
Kind of didn't want to go too far away from the family. So yeah,
So
definitely
you
a
stayed
family
close.
girl. Yes.
Okay, all right. And so, do you have children?
Yes, I do. I have one son. Hey Jay. He's
Hey,
18
Jay.
years old. We're getting ready for college.
Oh my
so.
goodness! Has he made a decision yet? Where it is?
He knows that. Well, I told him East or West Coast, but he's focusing in on Arizona State University.
Okay.
So he really wants to go into audio and mechanical engineering. He said, "Ma, I'm only doing 5 years because I'm never going back to school."
I know that's right.
So he's going to do a 5-year mechanical and audio engineering program with a minor in music scoring.
Oh, right. Well, look at he's gonna follow behind you with some technology focus and then have his love, which must be the music piece.
Right.
That's the passion he has. We're gonna take a quick station break, and we're gonna go into detail about the Seek You app and what it is, what it's planned, what your ideas, how did you get to this place? I mean, because to talk to a founder and a developer of an app, to have them at the very beginning stages of this is very exciting for me. You are listening to Urban Broadcast Media. I'm Bertina Powell. We'll be right back after these messages. All right, so, okay, hey, let's see. So, hey, Rachel, she said, hey. Hey, Shamika. This is the Olympics code. I know, right?
Bogan, right?
People understand.
So she says, I'm proud of you.
Thanks, Shamika.
Maurice says, hey.
Hey, Maurice.
Okay, all right, everybody. We are in here. Now we're getting ready to tell you what. See, everybody's like, what? They probably trying to Google it and everything. Can't find out about it. This is an exclusive right here.
Yes.
This is our first interview and everything.
It is. So thank you so much for having me.
Very well. So exciting for you as well about this because, like, you know, people have thoughts, they have ideas. And one of my quotes I mentioned, I think just the other day was, it's great to have an idea, but if you don't execute it,
Right.
you have nothing really because you have it, you know, and you had this idea, and then the next thing you know, you see it come across the screen in a commercial.
That happens to a lot of us, but I refuse to let that happen to me this time around.
That's
So,
so that's good. And so this time you decided to get it going, have the idea, and then what's my next step, and what's my next step, and what's my next step.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
So
you
it's
get that.
exciting to get even to this competition. Were there other processes before you got to this point in the final competition, or was it just straight from your idea to this competition piece?
So basically what ends up happening is you're in, so they promote the prototype for a civic app and they promote it through sessions. So the first session that they do really focuses on these are the 7 techniques that it takes to have a really great app. Session 2 kind of does wireframing. Section 3 talks about how you can execute it using Apple products to just build your prototype. And then session 4 was the pitch.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you knew going into a program set that you were getting it ready.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna have to repeat that because
Okay.
some people heard it, but the radio did not.
Okay.
Hi, and welcome back to Empower Hour. And I have just been chatting it up. Those of you watching Facebook and YouTube got a chance to hear it, but I've been chatting up with Ms. Lacey here about just the process of going from an idea to executing it. And those who watch me on a daily basis, thank you, one. But then I had a quote the other day about executing ideas. And so obviously she's an executor, so there's a problem, solve it. She thought about it and she began this execution. But you said you initially met with understanding of an Apple phase, like a 3-4 phase. Let everybody know what that is in case they're out there with some thoughts about how to move forward with an idea.
Sure, there are a lot of resources out. So granted, I've been 2.5 years into the development of the app, but just in the last week to show you how I get to this point, or the last month, I'm sorry, is that Apple created I want to say an ad on Facebook, basically, hey, prototyping a civic app. And it was a 4-week session. I encourage anyone and everyone, find meetups, find whatever resources Blue 1647 start of 1871 that are out there, so that you really can find resources to get your ideas off the ground, even if they're not technologically related.
Okay.
So Apple did a 4-week session. First session, they talked about these are the 7 great elements of an app based on the 25 awards they give out a year based on really great apps. All these apps have these in common. And then the second week, they talked about how do you wireframe your app? How do you might take your app idea to get it on paper? How do you get it out of your head to see if it's a true viable solution? And then week 3, let's use Apple products to figure out how to present it to people who may be interested, venture capitalists who may want to back it. And then session 4 was the actual pitch competition.
And so that's what was Tuesday, was the actual pitch.
Correct.
And they tell you literally that we're going to announce a winner and go from one. So they're with you, they being Apple people, the whole step of the way, and they're sort of watching who's unfolding and doing this, or they don't show up until the pitch?
So what ends up happening is Apple's there because it's hosted at the Apple Store, and so Apple's head of evangelism, the evangelism team, he's there the first night. So they really don't know what you're doing outside of what they're, because it's informational based. They're giving you a lot of information, tools, and resources in an hour-and-a-half session for you to then take back and incorporate into your ideas. And then Blue 1647 is also giving you a lot of information, resources that you can use to be successful in your app development and prototyping, things you should think about. How to make sure you're thinking about the user. It's one thing to get your idea on paper, like, hey, this is my idea, but what does it mean for the user, and how will the user experience this?
Right.
So just things to keep in mind as you're not thinking about those things because you're so super excited or stoked about your idea.
Just about the idea itself, but how do you get it into what one would say fruition? How do we make it something that is viable for somebody besides me, and whatever the reason is, I thought it was good.
Exactly.
Right? So now, before we go too far, I just want to take a quick moment. Blue 1647, and just let everybody know who might be watching. I do have a lot of out-of-state people. They are not familiar with this organization. And what is this organization? Give them a...
So Blue 1647 is essentially a tech hub. It's a tech hub #1 for people who need to find other additional information about how to bring their ideas to fruition. And on top of that, they have a back to work program. So if you're out of work and you want to go into coding, you want to go into anything technologically based, hey, come here, get some training, and then we'll figure out how to get you some jobs. And us being in the same hub together also says, hey, I need an app developer, I need an iOS programmer, I need someone who focuses on venture capital. So we can pull from each other and use those resources to further everyone's idea.
And that was what I wanted to make sure we shared about it, because what it winds up being is a networking hub of all the pieces that can be put together right out of the same building and location. And then they get to know you personally, so that's great. So now that we've got that clear, and you made the steps, obviously, because you are a winner. Again, congratulations.
Thank you.
And so now the key is let's go back 2 years ago, or even further, whenever it was that, what was it that became the why you thought about this? So you have a history in health, mental health awareness, the schooling. What did you do in school?
So my undergrad degree is in computer information systems and management. So that kind of gives me the technology background. And then my master's is in healthcare administration. Just to make things a lot more well-rounded in terms of different avenues that I can go into in terms of my career.
Okay, and so now you got the computer background.
Correct.
You had the health awareness, and in your world, you began to merge the two. That's what Seek You is about. So before I tell you even more about what Seek You is, tell me, was it your son's situation that led you to this thought, or had nothing to do with that? What led you there?
So I was actually in what seems to be a year-long dispute with my landlord. We know how some of those things can go. And I had to say, hey, what's something that I can think about or focus on so I don't go all the way left when things start to go down? It's one of those things, trying to keep your composure so that you don't make the situation worse than what it needs to be, and really keeping myself calm through the process. And so I'm running on the treadmill that morning. I'm just like, hey, what can I think about or look at so that I don't cut? I shouldn't say cuss, right? So I don't get too over reactional because it's emotional. It's emotional when you think someone is being unfair to you, and how can I really regulate myself? And running on the treadmill, I was just like, hey, what if the Apple Watch sensed that I was uncomfortable, and it started to send me self-help messages to help me through the stressful or uncomfortable situation. So I immediately get off the treadmill and run to the computer and say, hey, is there an app for that? And nope, not an Apple app for that. Well, let me see if there's a Google Play or Android app for that. Nope, not an app for that either. And so that's essentially how the idea gets born. But just taking it a step back, what ends up happening is you have to leave yourself open to the process, open to receive exactly what you're destined to do. And so probably about a month or so before then, I actually read an article that said that the self-help industry is a $10 billion industry. And it will always be a $10 billion industry because people are seeking resources to be better. And looking for positive outcomes. And so whoever, and the article says, whoever can solve that problem is a billionaire. And so I left myself open to just that statement, and guess what? I sought out to solve the problem.
Well, that sounds like, you know, it seems like it was just 1, 2, 3, but I'm sure it was not quite that simple of a process. It was a thought, and then like you said, you went and sought something that you then only realized didn't exist.
Right, exactly.
But something had been planted in your head a month or so beforehand that said, you know, self-help, self-awareness, psychiatry, therapy, all these things is a $1 billion business. And so now you have that memory conjuring with your particular situation that says, I'm trying not to blow, right?
Exactly.
I'm trying not to blow. Now, I know there are a lot of people out there, and you might not want to agree to this, but there are moments and times when you say to yourself, I wish I had not said this, I had not reacted this way, and I thought just for 10 minutes, maybe the outcome of this entire situation would have been slightly different.
Yes.
And is that what the Seek You app, my understanding is it's going to be a mobile app to improve relationships by changing the way that you react and respond to emotional triggers.
Yes, and so the Seek You piece of it is for you to be successful, empowered, and emotionally intelligent. So you're seeking yourself in order to develop what that is for you.
In the moment, though.
In the moment. While you're in distress. Exactly.
Yes. Because a lot of people might have therapy once a week, but that's not helping me when I'm in the moment.
Right, and so those coping skills, so the whole premise of the app is that it detects that you're getting uncomfortable through any physiological changes. Right now we're in a stage where you have an Apple Watch and it detects your increased heart rate. So that's one thing to let the Apple Watch know that you're getting distressed. So imagine your Apple Watch vibrating to say, hey, step back. You're now aware of your emotions, you're aware of the physiological changes in the environment that you're in or the circumstance. Hey, take a step back and let's move into problem solving for positive outcomes.
Okay, so now what went into the, so it's going to say what? What is my watch going to do when I'm uncomfortable?
And
how does it know I'm uncomfortable?
So it detects that increased heart rate.
Increased heart rate.
Yeah, that's
so I had to put in my norm because I read an article or gave some news just the other day that the increased heart rate, high blood pressure is going higher. More people are having high blood pressure. So my heart rate is directly related to that number. And so if it's higher, you got to know that beforehand what my number is, right?
Right. So part of the setup of the profile, because there are also medicines that affect your heart rate.
Gotcha.
There are a number of things. You may suffer from anxiety, so your heart rate may always be higher than norm. So we want to make sure what's your resting heart rate first. And so we identify that in the profile process. And then once we identify the resting heart rate, we know that anything that goes up and how fast it goes up becomes an abnormality. And so it signals to the Apple Watch or the program that, hey, something could potentially be wrong and let me help you get through that process.
And so then, okay, so now the watches, you have to preset this watch to your personal self though, right? The app itself has to take some data from me personally.
Correct.
My age, what else?
Your age, gender. Gender is a big topic. Age is a topic because as we get older, our resting heart rate can either go up or be lower from when we were in our 20s and 30s. Gotcha. So it's really about ensuring that that you have, or that we have the right information for the algorithm. So it's not just going off willy-nilly. You can be walking up and down the stairs.
Right, yeah.
And now it's like, hey, just breathe. Hey, remove yourself from the situation. Right. So there are some installments that kind of say, hey, this heart rate has just gone up too fast. you may need to remove yourself from the situation, or hey, breathe through it. Other messages is just like, think about the consequences, especially when you think about children or teens in peer pressure situations. Their heart rate, hormones, and everything else are affected, and the goal really is to build the algorithm based on the personal information from the user.
So this is not just an adult product. No. So this is something you're saying that the teens that and how young could this app really work for who?
So the reality is this probably can go as long as young as someone who can put a smart wrist device or a wearable device on them that detects these physiological changes. When we think of children who suffer from behavior disorders in a classroom, like just that trigger, or just, you don't know what triggers children, but now you have some intelligence that, hey, based on these physiological changes, that guess what, this child or this teenager now is triggered. Okay, how can I coach them through this process and return them back to being successful in the classroom, or engaging them in such a way or a different way than what we had intelligence on them before.
So is the app doing this, or as a teacher or someone an adult nearby is able to get the same information that's happening on the phone?
Down. You are getting into various phases of what I'm trying to do.
I'm sorry. My brain, we had this discussion. I'm such a problem solver. I'm starting to think about all my friends and people that I know that are in the education in the classroom. And so I'm thinking, well, if something has happened but the teacher didn't see it, and now this kid is set off and they don't know how to react, and they're responding based on this immediate reaction, but would something be on their phone or their desktop that's going off that's saying Joe is having an issue?
Right, or Joe's heart rate has increased, or his sweating or his muscle tension has increased. And so what if an iPad sat and the teacher could really observe the classroom from a physiological perspective as opposed to a visual perspective, to really say, hey, something's going on with that child over in the corner. Let me go over and kind of coach them through this process. What are you thinking about? Hey, what happened at home last night? And really working to do that, or bringing the social worker in to say, hey, Joe's heart rate has been up three times in the last week, and I do have some concerns. Can you reach out and talk to him? And then kind of flipping that at work too. Hey, I see that your heart rate has been up. I need a mental day because my heart rate has been up 20 times in the last week.
I need to take a day off, a real day off, a real day off, and calm down. And then so this is just, my mind is running too fast to even get my questions out, so I'm gonna slow down just a moment, right? Maybe mine would be going off right now and saying, Bertina, you're getting agitated, you're getting excited. But this is very exciting, one, but you're telling me, so you got young children. I'm thinking about children with some of these mental health issues that exist, ADHD and things like
anxiety.
that. Anxiety, all these things that, they work with medication, but here's a non-medicated way to acknowledge and say immediately, something is happening to me, I can't even express what that is.
Right.
The individual may not even be able to express it, or in fact know that this is what's happening, but now you can quantify it, qualify it, and track it, I guess, a little bit better.
Yep, and then when you think of young adults, so their frontal lobe isn't fully developed, and as the research is showing us, is that while we think that people are fully developed at 21, we're finding that somehow, some way, and we don't know what that's attributed to, their frontal lobe really isn't developed till around 23, 24.
Gotcha.
And so making those right decisions, or those positive decisions, even on college campuses, you now have something that, now my heart rate has increased. Okay, listen, now I have the brain power to kind of put it behind it, to say, you know what, I think I need to make a different decision at this point.
And so the watch is going off and it says breathe. And it's also, I think I read, vibrating, just like trying to, like a soothing touch type situation, like calm down, Bertina, relax.
Discreetly. It's discreet, so no one else knows that your heart rate is increased by you.
And so then how long is it going to, is it like an alarm and only goes off one time, or can I set it to go off 3 times? Like how long will it, because sometimes one time is not going to be enough for some people. You know, they're just pissed. They're all upset and they're agitated. So, like, how many times and how long will it work?
That's a really good question. So what the app will be designed to do is to keep going until the heart rate returns back to resting rate, right?
Okay. So.
And it almost becomes a game. Hey, I was able to get my heart rate down over last week 5 times within under a minute and a half, right? So that's really good because you got to remember the less that you're stressed, you're adding more years, right? More days, more weeks to your life.
We're talking about how stress is killing people, but you can't monitor stress.
Right, eating, but now you can.
But now you can.
Right,
with
now you
Seek
can.
You app. Oh my God, and you heard it. How many times am I going to say that? You heard it first right here on Empower Hour with Bertina Power at Urban Broadcast Media. And this app, you know, with one who has a special needs son, I believe I was beginning to tell you, and all the moms and parents and fathers that are out there that have these individuals in their home that want to work, that want to be there for them. Here is a tool on its way to market, right? To help facilitate these conversations and understanding these moments, but then also not being overbearing, and then you can self-reflect and self-help yourself, right? You know, for those at the level that if they could just say, you know what, let me focus, let me stop, and then get myself back together.
Right, and we also want to know the intelligence that's coming from that after that experience, right? What happened?
What started it? Yeah, what started it, and then how long did it take, and what happened? We're going to talk more about this. This is exciting. I hope you are considering this just as exciting as I am to learn about this app that Miss Lacey Gatewood won Apple's focus on maintaining this app, creating it, and bringing it to market. You are listening to Urban Broadcast Media. We're going to take a quick station break, and we're going to come right back. I'm Bertina Power. This is Empower Hour. Yes. Oh my God! You're like, slow down, Bertina. So my friend was telling me, he's like, will this app be available on Android for us Android users?
Yeah, so let's just let Apple back in first. Yeah, and then yes, the goal is for it to come on over to Android. We want to help all users, not just
right.
users.
Right, because Joy, Google, you know, they have a phone.
They have the Samsung watch,
yes,
multiple watches, right?
Yeah, I think they have a couple of different types. So that's good. So it's really the watch in the phone, right? That is going to come together that you have to have. So I see everybody is joining in. Cheryl says it's a very interesting topic. Brianna says, greeting Miss Power. We are enjoying the show. Thank you. I love you too. Hey, cousin Gina and Jocelyn and Nathan and Maurice up there. So I had a question up here. I hope you all heard it, but that was whether or not Joy is going to get it. One of my sorority members, Michelle, asked about that, and she said, let's let Apple get it. And then we're coming back. Hey, welcome back to Empower Hour. I am Bertina Power. We were just answering a couple of questions on the Facebook page that people have identified. And if you want to call in, 312-754-4333 if you'd like to ask Lacey Gatewood yourself a particular question about the app or what some of her plans are for it. You can always join the conversation. Again, the number is 312-754-4333, and you can download the UBM app at your favorite app store. So the question was, you're talking about Apple, and she wanted to know, Michelle wanted to know, will it be on the Android? And we discussed, or you shared with her, let's let Apple get it, work it out, and then, you know, obviously, of course, it will eventually get to Joy because you want.
Right, we want to help all users. We don't just want to help Apple users. The goal really is to figure out how to bring it to mass market because we understand that if people are able to kind of get out their personal biases and get into problem solving mode, and now they have something that can help them through these processes, that hey, we really could have better communities that ultimately work to change the world. And the goal is not to take over the world, the goal is to change the world and how we treat each other. More studies are coming out. Technology kind of takes away the human component, and you alluded to that earlier. And so we really want to bring the humanity back.
And what's nice about this one is it doesn't, I think what happens or winds up happening with individuals who have these initial mental issues or health concerns and whatever it is that you may have, is the attention, the immediate attention brought that then escalates the situation. So your watch says, discreetly to somebody and then to myself.
No,
Something has happened.
Well, I know, unless they both have to watch.
That's what I mean, right? Yeah, unless you are configuring a way for the teachers to notice it or come up with it. But I obviously have to give them permission to that. But what I'm saying is that it doesn't have to be a yell across the room, or you know, the parents aren't screaming and yelling at you in the household. You know, it's a what is going on conversation, your phone. Maybe they're watching you continuously look at it, and you know, and reward you and congratulate you for taking a situation and calming yourself down.
Right, and really making the best outcome or making decisions for a best or a positive outcome. Hey, you know what, give me 5 minutes. I just need to regroup and we can come back to this conversation. So I can handle it emotionally intelligent. Like, that's the key piece.
That's the key, emotionally intelligent.
Emotionally intelligent.
And in order to get this, you brought a team together of psychiatrists, psychologists, and mental health consultants.
Yeah.
What is it that you see in patients when they're in the room, or the ones who call you in an emergency, right? This is what this sort of eliminates.
Right, and what's the best way to figure out exactly what the app, like I knew what the app, I wanted it to do,
right?
But what are we actually, so they work with me to realize, to say, hey, Lacey, what you're looking for is enhanced decision making. And so giving people the opportunity to be able to do that. So yeah, that's what that team does, and we kind of vet ideas back and forth, where we're going, and so, yeah.
And these messages that are coming across, I know you said breathe, these are action-oriented messages, right? So again, what we were just saying, don't have an idea, but really what to do. So it says breathe. What are some of the other things that it says?
Definitely remove yourself, because sometimes you need to remove yourself.
It's going too fast, too high. It's like,
exactly,
just leave the situation, right? Wow. I mean, I could just see how, I mean, past the mental issues and concerns like that, what if this was designed for those individuals who become very domestic, violent, responsive to situations, right? If they have something, they may, of course, throw it off and, you know, want to, and that's I guess the risk to the situation is that I can easily take this thing off and toss it. And of course, there are times throughout my day and night, I don't have it on.
Right, and so definitely thinking about veterans who suffer from PTSD. We're now moved into people who suffer from anger management. And yeah, you might get some of those instances, but the reality is now it alerts you or alarms you, hey, you're responding emotionally, or the physiological changes suggest that you're responding emotionally.
Right.
And guess what, now you have a decision to make. Whereas before, you kind of get escalated, you're worried about personal biases, how people, the tone that people are using, their body language, all of these things. But now, guess what?
You have a decision,
right?
Yeah,
you have a choice.
It's back on
moment.
You, right? It's back on you to make a decision. And some people really want to have help. But then, like you said, physiologically, psychologically, issues that are beyond their control don't allow them to make a rational decision in that moment. And what this is doing is putting a pause directly on you and saying, hey, without somebody physically putting their hands on you, which then irritates you more, or could, and this saying, hey, calm down. Step away, just step away, right? If it's really bad, just step away. And I can just see how that would just be something that is phenomenal for some outcomes that were controllable. Quite like we talk about health. You know, you can get rid of some of this high blood pressure by choices that you make. And here is an opportunity where these physical, you know, you use all the great clinical terms, you know, PSD and all of these reactionary emotional. And that's the key word, which is why you have the E in there, right?
Right, so the EQ, so successful, empowered, because you can be successful and you want to be empowered to make really good choices. And the EQ, believe it or not, stands for emotional intelligence. That's the theory textbook definition and abbreviation that we use.
Of what? What EQ? Because I could not get that Q. I'm gonna tell you right now.
Yeah, EQ
like,
is
what?
Emotional, just like IQ.
IQ.
So EQ.
And EQ. Okay, so emotional EQ is like an IQ, right? So that is what it's saying. And so then the S was standing for what again?
Successful.
Successful, empowerment.
Empowered.
Empowered emotional intelligence.
And it lies within you, is seeking you.
So you is just you. That's
right,
what that means.
Why
you means you.
you.
As in me, as in you, right? Okay. So that was that. So your son is 18, and how excited is he about this opportunity to have his mom have an app on Apple?
So he's extremely excited. So when I came up with the idea a couple years ago, he was just like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. So he purchased his first Apple Watch about a month or so ago. And he would also be one of the reasons why I felt like I needed to jump back on it. He was like, Ma, I just got something from Apple saying I need to breathe, which the new iOS or Apple Watch OS says, hey, breathe. But it's saying, hey, breathe a couple times to you during the day. It's not because it's off of some scientific or physiological change. And he was like, Ma, get on it. Like, don't give up. Get on it. Keep going. And he also would inspire me. My other cousin, Alican, down in Atlanta. Hey, Alican.
Hey.
He was just like, Lacey, I've had 8 fights in my classroom in the last week.
My goodness.
So please stop doing what you're doing and get back into this.
Get back into it.
And
yeah, I know some people that work with, like the deans of the students, where all the kids come into the, it used to be after school, detention, but now the teachers are sending the kids out of the classroom in the middle of the day, so they're missing this opportunity. And most of the time it was an emotional reaction that the kid had to something.
Right.
Who knows, but had to something, and the teacher responded in the way that said, leave the room, go downstairs. And I'm just wondering how much more this could be progressive to just those situations, right then and there.
Right.
Where the children doesn't have any medically diagnosed issues, but then again, nobody knows because nobody's tracking it.
Right, and then the other part is, what's the trigger of the child? It could be something that the teacher said that the child thought back to that definitely caused the behavior in the classroom. And as teachers and as educators, we don't want to do it. As people, we don't want to do anything that's going to emotionally trigger someone else. But if they're not quite aware of what that trigger is, we have some due diligence to kind of help that along.
Right, now I know that I'm ahead of myself, but I just thought I'd ask in case somebody was wondering. This app obviously won't be a download free app, but then when you have a price point, anything, have y'all thought about that?
So I've thought about it.
Okay.
I've ran some numbers. I'm just kind of seeing how this thing is going to take off. But yeah, we definitely have to figure out exactly what the price point. And I guess my question would be back to the listeners: hey, how much are you willing to pay for something like this?
And is it a monthly subscription or a one-time?
It's a one-time download, but trust me, there will be add-ons. Because imagine yourself working with a mental health partner, and your mental health partner now has a bi-weekly report of, hey, Bertina, or hey, Lacey, we saw that this time between the hours of 9 and 5, your heart rate got pretty high.
Not 9 to 5 when I'm going to work every day.
Exactly. Or between 8 and 8:30, your heart rate just seems to be increased. Now I can have an intention. Let's talk about work. Let's unpack this.
Right. What is going on in that workplace that is an unrecognized issue that you're not discussing, right? So this is one of those, let's call to the table a conversation about something you're keeping to yourself, which is what a lot of stress is, right?
Exactly. Things that you think, so a lot of it happens in your subconscious, and you may not even know that your heart rate increases when you pull into that parking lot going to work, and now you have a device.
Because you've been doing it for so long, it's norm. It's norm for you to just start sweating before you get out the car, and you don't realize that.
You don't realize that it's because you're going into an extremely stressful environment, and now you can work with a life coach or someone of that nature to say, hey, let's talk about where you need to be.
Where you need to go. All right, this is so exciting, and I'm so happy to have had this wonderful opportunity to bring to everybody who's listening on Urban Broadcast Media, Empower Hour on YouTube and Facebook, and out there in our radio land all across the country, this right here, that this app is coming out, because it seems like it, well, I know for a fact, because as I told you earlier, I have a younger son that has cerebral palsy, one who cannot communicate outside of any physical attribute, but then you don't know that his physical attribute is doing certain things like raising his heart rate to a level so high. He had just had surgery a couple of weeks ago, and when he was hooked up to the heart monitor, actions he does all the time showed a spike in his heart rate to over 180, and I'm like, what in the world? But a mere me coming and touching him, dropped right back down, right? But I would have never known it was that high from an outside looking in.
And that's
So,
exactly what we're looking to do.
I'm very excited about this app. I
Thank
cannot
you.
wait. And congratulations again. And congratulations to the other members who pitched, because that's a lot of work you went through. And don't give up. You know, it didn't happen Tuesday at the Michigan Apple Store, but
Right.
it can happen the next time for you, like it happened for Lacey Gayless. So thank you. Congratulations
Thank
again,
you so
Lacey.
much. Thank you for having me.
No problem. My honor, my honor. So I just want to remind everybody this weekend, there are several things that are coming up. That is the 2017 Harlem Fine Arts Show. It starts tonight with the kickoff. The North Shore chapter of Links Incorporated will be doing their VIP reception for this event. Tomorrow on Friday, the Youth Empowerment Piece with the STEM, which yours falls under that, and they also are having an evening fundraiser hosted by the Rotary Club of Chicago. And then on Saturday, November the 18th, several people are participating in this event fundraiser. It's hosted by the 100 Black Men of Chicago, Jack and Jill of America, North Shore, Cook County Bar Association. We'll be having a VIP reception as well. And of course, the Met tomorrow at the Metropolitan Apostolic Church of Christ 4100 with Reverend Dr. Finney will be hosting a VIP reception at 6 and awards program at 7, where they will be honoring Peace Planter Awards to those individuals. I also wanted to give knowledge to on Saturday. An important program is taking place November 18th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Harper College. Know Your Rights. And that is being hosted by the Hoffman Estates chapter of the Links. The purpose of the Know Your Rights is to inform our Black youth and adults of the rights they have when interacting with the police or anyone else. And we know how important that is. It is Saturday, November the 18th, free, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And we want to thank the Hoffman Estates chapter of Links, Cook County Bar Association, and Chi Alpha Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha for coming together with Harper College and putting on this event. It's youth, persons, parents, grandparents, teachers, anybody concerned about how African American and the youth are reacting to the police in response. Now, Lacey, I give a quote at the end of every show. And the quote I have for you is by